Hello everybody, I will be going over my final presentation in the game that I have been working on over the course of the semester. So I will go ahead and jump right into it. I will first give a description of my game, of what it is, and then I will go over the goals to complete the tasks, um, stuff like that. So I'll just get right into it. You are a traveler who stumbled upon a town called Wimpy Town, and as you are there, you meet a man named Todd. Um, so he is going to task you to find metal and deliver it to a man named Oswald, who will then use that metal to upgrade his home and survive the harsh winters. After you deliver this metal to Oswald, he will then task you to head to Turkendale. So how you will complete these quests is by collecting gold throughout the level, finding metal, and then you can fight enemies as well to collect gold. And then with that gold, you can go to the NPC shop there to buy more metal to help you complete your task quicker. So that way you can just give it to Oswald and have him be a lot happier. So this is a action RPG with two characters, a caster and a knight. I will go over the level design for the game with there's two levels. So level one here is you start in the corner next to a little town area with a building and the shop. The heart here is the NPC Todd, who will task you into finding metal to deliver to Oswald. These smileys here are your items that you'll be able to find throughout the level, which is either gold or metal. The green area here is a spawn zone where you will have to fight two enemies throughout the level to be able to collect more gold to help you out. And then the next level here is a door that you can use to get to level 2. So level 2 here is once you enter level 2, you will spawn in, and then you can fight some more enemies over here to collect more gold. You'll also find more metal throughout the level. And then over here is Oswald with his little building that he wants to upgrade. And then he will task you to go over to Turkendale over here, which is the complete level. You can go back and forth between levels um, just by going over to the doors. So that is the overall kind of layout and description of the game of what you'll be doing. So I'll go ahead and jump right into the controls. So within the controls, I will be showcasing here. I will just play the game. I have a main menu here with a play, quit, and controls and about game. So in here, the player will be able to click on it and read all of the controls that he'll be able to use throughout the game. So WASD is to move. Down below is a description of how to use the item shop. Once you are close enough to him, you can press Shift and F1 to be able to bring up the mouse cursor to go ahead and buy items. And then over here I have the various buttons you can use to use the caster projectile spells. He has three projectiles that will damage enemies, and then he has one that can heal him. And then I have my knight character here who just has a swing down skill and a backwards 360 swing. Down here gives a little description of what you'll be doing within the game, where you'll have to be tasked to get the quest to bring metal to Oswald, find metal or buy it from the shop, so that gives you a little clue as what to do. So that is kind of a little base description of the game. I will go ahead and do the layout of my content browser. I do have audio within this game with music, but I don't believe you guys will be able to hear it because of the recording with my headset. So, without further ado, I have four main folders here where I have just blueprints. Within this, I have an audio folder with all of my audio, sounds, and music. I have a character folder where it has both my characters and then the enemy character. I have a game management folder where it has the game mode and a instance blueprint to store all my info so it can go back in between levels without resetting. I have a melee weapons folder, an interactable objects folder, where the player can interact with all of these objects within the world. I have all of the projectiles in the projectile folder, so that way when the caster goes, he can get all the blueprints there. I have a quest folder where this is the two NPCs um, that we can interact with to get our quests. And then I have my general characters folder where it has all of my uh, blueprints and animations, blends, stuff like that. And then the animations within it to um, play all the animation. It's the same for a character too, and then the enemy character. I have a HUD folder with all of my textures here that I use throughout the game for HUDs. And then I have a HUD blueprint with all of my various HUDs within the game. So I will go ahead and go back up and start with the characters from left to right and just work my way down with the blueprints. So when we first get in here with the caster, um, we have the cast lightning projectile and cast ice projectile. These two blueprints here are both the exact same. They are just using a different actor to be able to throw. So what it is when you press the various button to use this skill, it will check to see if it can be played with the animation. If so, it will disable movement and allow the player to cast it. Once it's cast, it will use the mana to be able to use it, and then it will play the spell or check to see if the spell can be played. If so, spawn the spell actor within, and then once that spell is over, you can go ahead and move again. It is the exact same for the ice projectile. The only difference is I'm using a different uh, projectile actor. The cast fireball spell is almost the same. The only difference between it versus the others is it has a skill cooldown system where once the player uses the skill, he will have to wait a certain amount of time in order to reuse the fireball skill. And the healing spell uh, blueprint here, what this does is it checks to see if the player can heal himself. If so, heal the player. And it also has a skill cooldown system where you can only use it after a certain amount of time. And then all I have down here is a mana regen for the player to regen mana if they are below 100. And then I have my player HUD here where the caster will display the main HUD for the game for the player to see, where it'll showcase quests, mana, health, etc. So that is the caster. The knight character is pretty much the same here, where his skills are going to be the same for both the sword slash and the sword backswing. The only difference is the animation. They both have the same amount of skill cooldown systems. The RPG HUD is also the same for the knight. The only difference between it is we will attach the ice sword to the character, allowing the character to use it as a weapon. The spawn AI here, so the lightning projectile and ice projectile are both the exact same. The only difference is the various actors that will be hitting it. So what this is it will check to see if the projectile is hitting the enemy. If it overlaps it, if so, it will then do damage to that enemy. If it does damage to that enemy, and if it reaches 0, it will destroy the actor and call the death function. If you call the death function, it will then spawn a bag of money to be able to be picked up by the player. I also have a track damage, so that way when the player spawns, or not the player, the enemy spawns in, it will kind of give a little particle effect. The sword and or the sword damage and the 360 are the exact same as well. The only difference is it's using two different animations. It's also getting to where if the player damages it and goes to 0, it will cause the death function, allowing the player to or the enemy to spawn a gold bag, and then it will destroy the actor. I also have a enemy weapon here where it will attach the weapon to the enemy so that way it can use it to attack me. I also have a HUD system being called for the enemy, allowing it to showcase how much damage the enemy is taking. And then the last two scripts I have here is the movement. So what this does is it allows the AI to move around within the game world within a certain radius based on the nav mesh. It will check to see if it's in that nav mesh. If so, it will move. Then I also have this set to here where if it sees the player with the pawn sensing uh, component, it will check to see if it sees it. If so, it will then move to that player's location, and then it will follow the player around the nav mesh. The next one is management scripts. So this store info is just a game instant blueprint where all it has is my variables that I want to take with me across to the other level. The third person game mode is just the game mode for the level to be able to be called in. The melee weapon blueprints, there's nothing in these. All they are is actors with the various weapons that attach to the character with some box collision on it. The next ones are the doors and objects the player can interact with. The back to level door, complete level door, and next level door are basically all the same. The only difference between them is knowing what level it will go into. So what this does is if you are on level 2, this door, or if you are on level 2 and you go to the door, it will allow the player to go back to level 1. The complete level door is where if you go to Turkendale, um, or if you go to the door that says Turkendale, it will then have you go to the main menu indicating, hey, you have beaten the game. You can either play again or quit. This one is for the first level to where if the player overlaps that door, he will go to level 2. The BP spawn system is just items that we did for testing. The health pickup here is where if the player has taken damage at all throughout the game, he can then go over to a heart pickup. And what it does is it'll check to see if the player is less than 100 health. If so, it will then add that health to the player to heal up to back to full health. Once that player picks up the projectile, or not projectile, the health pickup, it will then destroy it. The metal um, blueprint here is it will check to see if the player overlaps that metal. If so, have it be stored into the game instant variable, allowing the player to be able to take it in with him to other levels to use. And then once that player picks that up, it will add it to the counter, and then it will destroy the actor. The gold pickup is the exact same setup as the metal. The only difference is it's gold instead of the metal pickup. The shop trigger blueprint here, what this is it allows the characters to be able to go to the NPC shop guy and allow it to open up the shop to where the player can buy various items and the metal to be able to use for his quest. So what it'll do is if that player um, overlaps the box collision, it will then bring up the HUD to allow the player to interact with the objects, and then it will bring up the cursor. And then this wood is just, it's the same as the metal and the pickup, uh, just for the player to be able to carry around. The projectile actors are all the same. All these are is objects that will showcase the particles, and all they do is they have collision boxes around them or collision spears. The quest systems here, so if I go into main quest 1, Um, it will gonna if you go and overlap Todd here and talk to him, he will then give you the quest here to bring 20 metal to Oswald to Snow Wasteland. It will then take this quest info and store it into store info, allowing you to go into level 2 and still have the quest there instead of resetting. And then once you uh, bring the metal to Oswald, he will then give you another quest. So this is basically the same as quest 1. The only difference is this will check to see if you have enough metal to be able to continue on with the quest. So this will check to see if you have 20 metal. If so, it will then subtract the 20 metal from your inventory, and then this will allow you to end that quest, therefore continuing on with the game, and he will then give you the quest to head to Turkendale. So the last blueprints that I can showcase to you are the character selection screen. So this HUD system allows you to be able to click on two buttons and allow you to pick either the knight character or the caster character. All I have on the character selection blueprint for code is if you click the knight button, open level 1. If you click the caster button, open level 1 as well. And then again, I have the controls HUD where all this does is showcase the controls of the game and what you can do. The main menu button here allows you to go back to the main menu. The enemy health HUD, all this is the enemy health HUD to showcase if the enemy has taken damage, which I showcased earlier in the Spawn AI blueprint. This is the main HUD of the game, so when you start up, you will be able to see play, quit, and the controls and about game. So in this, I have the codes. That way, if you click play, it will then bring up the character selection screen, allowing you to pick the character and then opening level 1. The quit game button allows you to exit the game. And then if you click the controls button and about game, it will then take you to the controls and about page. The mana pop-up is all this is showcasing whether or not you have mana. If you run out of mana, then this HUD will pop up showcasing, hey, you don't have mana to use your skills. The pause menu function or HUD here is where if you click P, it will pause the game, allowing everything to freeze within it. And then you can either click the resume button or the quit button, depending on what you want to do within the game. If you click the resume button, it will take you out from pause, allowing the game to continue. If you click the quit button, it will then quit you out of the game. The RPG HUD here is the main HUD for the game. As you can see, I have two variables here showcasing metal and wood, and then I just have little counters here showcasing the amount of metal and wood that I have. I have the current quest here showcasing the current quest that we are on, and then this will showcase the where the quest will be at once you go to the NPCs. I have a coins counter as well showcasing the amount of gold you have. I have a health and mana HUD showcasing how much health and mana you have. And then I also have these two skills button here. Um, this is skill 1 for both the caster and the hunter. They overlap each other. And then same with this skill as well. So how I do this here is if, here, let me just exit out of all these to kind of go over this one by one. So if you click on this quest here function, what this will do is it will get the quest that you've done over Todd, and then it will store it into this HUD system here, allowing it to showcase on the screen. The wood total is the same, where it's just showcasing the amount of wood you have being displayed to the screen. Same with metal. Um, the metal is the exact same. It will then take how much metal you pick up throughout the world, and then display it to a HUD. Same with health and mana. Total coins, the exact same. And then these are just the skill cooldowns here, indicating, showing to the player on the screen, hey, this ability is in a cooldown. You're going to have to wait a few seconds. These hide ability here, so basically what this does is if you click on the player knight, this will only showcase the knight skills, and it will hide the caster abilities from you, so that way they don't get mix and matched. And it's the same for the caster as well. If you click the caster, it will hide the knight abilities from the caster, so that way they don't get mixed. So those are the blueprints of my game. I do have 3 levels here: level 1, level 2, and main menu. So I will go ahead and play the game here and kind of showcase what you can do. So if I go ahead and press the quick button, it will then quit the game. But if I click play, it will then take me into this HUD here, so I can either click on the knight or the caster. As you can see, it gives a little description of what they are and then the skills that each of them have. So if I go ahead and click on the knight character, I will spawn in, and as you can see, I spawn in to the corner. I have my NPC shop here, showcasing if I go near the shop, I can press Shift and F1, allowing it to get the cursor, and then I can go ahead and buy metal. As you can see, I'm buying metal, and the counter is going up, and then my gold count is going down because I don't have enough metal or gold to buy metal. This guy here is Todd. If I go over Todd here, he will then give me a quest to bring 20 metal to Oswald. This is a little description, you know, hey, here's gold, run over it to pick it up. As you can see, my coin counter went up, and then same with the metal here. As you can see, it went from 6 to 7. Um, these are the enemies that I can fight over here to collect gold. If I run over this heart here, it will then restore health. But as you can see, I'm just collecting the metal and the gold. Then there's the Snow Wasteland for level 2. So I was too close to the thing to go to to Snow Wasteland. But as you can see, I'm in level 2 here, where there's some enemies and some items. If I go over here to Oswald, as you can see, if I try to interact with Oswald, I can't do anything. Nothing will show up because I don't have enough metal to give to him. But if I go ahead and fight these enemies here, I will go ahead and collect some gold. As you can see down there below, that my skill bars are trying to get up here so I can still use them. So if I go ahead and go back to level 1 here, I will then come back in, and then I can go back to the shop and go ahead and buy some more metal. So as you can see, I have 22 metal here to go ahead and give to Oswald. As you can see, all this stuff respawned. Um, that is because you've gone back. So as you saw earlier, if we went over to Oswald, we couldn't give him anything, nothing changed. But if I go ahead and go to him now, as you can see, he says, thanks for the metal, head north to Turkendale. And my counter for metal also went down 20, because that's how much I had to give to him. And then if I go over to Turkendale, it will then take me back to the main menu here, showcasing, hey, you've completed it. You can either quit or play again. So that is my game. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and thanks for watching.